Here are a few things I want you to know that I know for sure. Don't be afraid. All you have to know is who you are, because there is no such thing as failure. There is no such thing as failure. What other people label or might try to call failure, I have learned, is just God's way of pointing you in a new direction. So it's true, you may take several paths that end up on what might be a dead end for you at the moment. But this is what I also know for sure. You must trust in the words of my favorite Bible verse that say, and know that the Lord will lead you to a rock that is higher than thou. Every one of us has a calling. There's a reason why you are here. I know this for sure. And that reason is greater than any degree. It's greater than any paycheck. And it's greater than anything anybody can tell you that you're supposed to do. Your real job is to find out what the reason is and get about the business of doing it. Your calling isn't something that somebody can tell you about. It's what you feel. It is a part of your life force. It is the thing that gives you juice, the thing that you're supposed to do. And nobody can tell you what that is. You know it inside yourself. You know, I come from good stock. Dr. Swigert was mentioning my grandmother who had a dream for me, and her dream was not a big dream. Her dream was that one day, she used to say, I want you to grow up and get yourself some good white folks. Because my grandmother was a maid and she worked for white folks her whole life. And her idea of having a big dream was to have white folks who at least treated her with some dignity, who showed her a little bit respect. And I regret that she didn't live past 1963 to see that I did grow up and get some really good white folks working for me. So have no fear. Have no fear. God's got your back. And sometimes you find out what you're supposed to be doing by doing the things you're not supposed to do. So don't expect the perfect job that defines your life's work to come along next week. If that happens, take the blessing and run with it. But if not, be grateful to be on the path where you eventually want to live. Abide in the space of gratitude, because this is what I know for sure, that only through being grateful for how far you've come in your path can you leave room for more blessings to flow. Blessings flow in the space of gratitude. Everything in your life is happening to teach you more about yourself. So even in a crisis, be grateful. When disappointed, be grateful. When things aren't going the way you want them to, be grateful that you have sense enough to turn it around. And so I tried to live in the space of God's dream. And the television executives told me when I was in Baltimore that it was too much. I was too big and I was too black. They told me that I was too engaged, that I was too emotional, I was too much for the news. And so they put me on a talk show one day just to run out my contract. And that was the beginning of my story. Even when things are difficult, be grateful. Honor your calling. Don't worry about how successful you will be. Don't worry about it. Focus on how significant you can be in service, and the success will take care of itself. And always take a stand for yourself, your values. You're defined by what you stand for. Your integrity is not for sale. If I could count the number of times I have been asked to compromise and sell out myself for one reason or another, I would be a billionaire 10 times over. My integrity is not for sale, and neither is yours. Many times when we were told that we would lose the advertisers, we would lose the ratings, I said, I'm going to take the high road. They said, you won't be able to survive in this business taking the high road. You won't be able to get the numbers. The advertisers will drop out. And I said, let them. We will chart our own course. We will stand up for what we believe in. And 21 years later, we're still the #1 show. Harriet Tubman once said that she could have liberated thousands more if only she could have convinced them that they were slaves. So do not be a slave to any form of selling out. Maintain your integrity. It has always been, I believe, the only solution to all of the problems in the world, and it remains the only solution. The most important lesson I can offer you from my own life is that in order to remain successful, to continue to wear the crown, as you walk the path of privilege, you must not forget the less privilege you've left behind. You cannot continue to succeed in the world or have a fulfilling life in the world unless you choose to use your life in service somehow to others and give back what you have been given. That's how you keep it. That's how you get it. That's how you grow it. And I know when you move through life living your own truth and live through the paradigm of service, you too will be all right. So I beseech you to go forth and serve. Serve first yourself. Honor your calling. Do what you're supposed to do. Honor your Creator, your family, your ancestors. And when you walk this path of privilege, don't forget the less privileged you leave behind.
In sports, you often hear the phrase winning is everything. But in reality, it's not. The questions you have to answer are, am I getting better as a person? And is what I'm doing bringing me and the ones around me happiness? The answers will tell you whether or not you're really winning. After you succeed at something, you expect the skies to open and happiness to rain down on you. But that rarely happens. The truth is, victory can be isolating. A lot of it comes down to how you handle pressure. I was 12 years old when I first felt undue pressure from my dad regarding my potential future with tennis. I finally asked my parents, what would make you happy? My father said, a college scholarship and playing for your country. I told him, well, Dad, I'm 12. Could you back off for a few years? In that moment, I learned no matter who it is, you have to be able to stand up for yourself. Whether it's your father or your boss, be your own best advocate. The worst pressure is the kind you feel internally. Many questions will keep you up at night. Am I good enough? Am I where I should be? My dear friend, the great Billie Jean King, will tell you pressure is a privilege. The first time I heard that, I thought she was nuts. Pressure's not a privilege, it's awful. But upon further reflection, I realized she has a point. We're lucky to experience pressure at the highest levels. Life doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes you need to pivot. And the path you end up on can be better than anything you ever imagined. If you know anything about my tennis career, you probably know that I didn't exactly handle pressure in the way people expect. Google John McEnroe meltdown, and you'll see many YouTube clips of me smashing rackets and shouting choice words at umpires. I'm not proud of it, but I wasn't intentionally trying to be a jerk. I was competing at the highest levels, and I was releasing pressure the only way I knew how, like a valve releasing steam. But there is a better way, trust me. For the longest time, I was not very empathetic to others, and that was probably my biggest flaw. I was wired to win and never let up, not even for a second. I felt like I couldn't enjoy the moment, and worse yet, I was often insensitive to the people around me. I had that edge about me. Again, not a great way to live. But I was lucky that new doors opened in my life which allowed me to find happiness in unexpected ways. I got really into art, made some incredible friendships, built a family. Sometimes you have to appreciate where you're at in life. If your mentality is if it's not success, then it's failure, your life will be really, really hard. Success gives us another chance to keep plugging away at what we love to do. That's all it really is. You're the sum of your whole life, not your professional accomplishments. So start enjoying your life now. Don't wait till your career takes off. When you look at the last few years of my tennis career, or my failed talk show, or the end of my first marriage, or all the various projects that came and went, I stayed in it. I kept trying new things, opening new doors. I learned not to be disillusioned by failure, not to be burdened by perfection, and not to be intimidated by greatness. My final tennis analogy is this. When a ball is coming at you, you have a split second to decide how to return it. You have a handful of options and make the best decision in the moment. Sometimes you win the point, and sometimes it's an endless rally that you lose. But you take your best shot and keep finding the courage to step on the court. This is the time to take your shots. Your life will go by fast. Give it your all. Stand up for yourself. Stay curious. Be a good citizen of the world. Don't get crushed under the weight of your own expectations. Know that the real victory in life is a long game. Measure your success by how much you evolve, not necessarily how much you win. Win or lose, what matters is giving everything you got. In a truly full life, you'll be lucky to have your share of both victories and defeats. In either case, keep finding the courage within you to move forward